so it's so wonderful to talk together. It's just absolutely wonderful. But what I was thinking about was you've done all this extraordinary, beautiful work getting to the really deep reasons for the anxiety in performance, not just the tips and tricks, which are incredibly important. And you've worked with some of the best to find those tools. So you've gotten some of the best tools. So you've actually been able to still function in performance, still go ahead, even with the extraordinary anxiety. So you weren't, first there's this one level, not a first level, but one level you were talking about, which is you medicate the heck out of it. You can do that, you know, in legal ways, which I recommend. I recommend legal ways. You can do that, medically. People, of course, do that there are legal ways that are not medical, like they'll drink a lot or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no judgment in that either. Whatever you need, whatever works for you, I don't recommend that. But that's one level, is physically medicating,
Mm-hmm.
either with alcohol or marijuana or other types of drugs or whatever they are, or medically with like beta blockers or
Mm-hmm.
anti-anxiety medication. There's no
Mm-hmm.
judgment with that either. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's probably a safer way to go if you want to do a physical, you know, a physical uh, change, an external physical change, excuse me, using something, an external substance to change what's going on inside. So I don't knock any of that. Um, and then but the people who gave you and then there's this another level, which is not using external substances,
Mm-hmm.
but using tools, mental tools, physical tools that you have in your own body and space. I'm assuming, I don't know the details of these
Yes.
particular people that
Yes.
you worked with, but
Practice tools. Yes.
practice tools,
Mental and physical practice. Yep.
yes, that you can use in the moment to continue to feel possibly debilitating anxiety and fear and
Mm-hmm.
still do the performance,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which is phenomenal. And also, important, because if it's a job, then you have to complete the job. And how are you going to complete it?
Yes.
If you are feeling really like overwhelming, debilitating anxiety and fear, could feel like you're dying,
Yeah.
or it can just be arresting and there's an inert situation. There can, of course, be a myriad of physical responses that are extremely scary.
Mm-hmm.
So you had this wonderful training for that from the best. But as you said, they couldn't really tell you why it was happening. And
Mm-hmm.
they couldn't really get to the anxiety itself. They were instead applying a beautiful coat of paint and
Mm-hmm.
putting up a very nice temporary wall. And that temporary wall allowed you to live in that house for the next 4 days. But
Yeah.
you're going to still need a new house. Like, can
Yeah.
you put up a new wall every performance for every level of anxiety? I think some people can, but it is extremely uncomfortable and terrifying. And so, yes. And so, what I was thinking about was, now I am actually interested in the anxiety itself
Mm-hmm.
and using that as the portal for new things coming through. From my personal experience, that level of working with the anxiety and not necessarily trying to get rid of it or even thinking of it as a negative does take other things, because if you're in the state of, oh my gosh, I'm going to die, I can't do it, it's hard to play with the anxiousness or fear. But when one can get to a place of hanging out with it, even if it feels overwhelming and all consuming and possibly life threatening, then the anxiety and fear can become an asset, because new cool things can happen. harder in life.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about, as we talk, like I had a big, huge eruption of anxiety the other day, which really surprised me because normally I don't feel anxious now. And um and when that happens, like, in some ways I was like, oh, it's good to remember what that's like because I'm not an anxious person now, but to then visit it on occasion, it's like, oh yeah, I remember what this feels like. And I just remember this sense of I can't tell what thing on I wrote like a list of 10 possible things that could be from surface level to root level of what was going on. And I could not tell which of those were the top priority. And so, from what you're talking about, this lens of potential, can you like, how would you apply that to, like, so like if you're in performance and you're having anxiety come up, you don't know what to be worried about. You don't know where the fear is coming from. You don't know what is taking the, grounding out from underneath you. Like how would you apply what you're saying, either in performance or what I experienced the other day?
In performance, which I feel I am beginning to start taking lessons from that for real life.
Mm-hmm.
But in performance, if I feel overwhelmingly like the floor coming out from under you, or maybe physically you can't continue. What
Mm-hmm.
if physically you can't? That's an extreme, I would say. That's a real
Mm-hmm.
extreme. Before, the way I would kind of get that back on track is very repetitive, very repetitive, insistent mantras of what will be happening in the next minute. Because
Mm-hmm.
kind of everything that's happening now is in the past in a way. So you get the momentum going with a particular set, a particular protocol of thinking that I just made up myself, which
Mm-hmm.
worked very well. And that will change what's happening. But it is a direction.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because I know that, or I feel, I don't know, I guess I feel that big emotion is a pathway and a doorway, I'll get way closer to the edge to see what could come in. In other words, if I feel like the floor is coming out from under me, or if something like, oh my gosh, something's happening, I don't know what's happening, I'll ride that longer. There is a risk. There is a risk. I think more tools allow for more risk,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
I have taken the risk, and from someone who's taken the risk several times, the things that potentially can come from that are so extraordinary and magnificent, it is so worth it. And then, oh, I'm sorry.
Go
How about
ahead.
me?
I'll say
And
something in a minute, but
okay,
I like what you're saying.
so it's worth that. And then that emotion or whatever's going on, there's that initial discomfort, but there's more to it than discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the first level, which is, this is uncomfortable, this is horrifying, this is terrible. But something that I think we don't talk about in society much is that there are different levels to that. It's not just negative, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just negative at all. That's only one slice of it that's negative. It's hard to believe that, though, because we're in a state all the time of we have to be calm, and big emotions are threatening, and big emotions are so uncomfortable, and we're taught from really little, don't make big outbursts, you've got to be quiet, you have to sit in a particular way for a certain number of hours, and big emotions are not welcome.
Mm-hmm.
But I do frankly actually think that that is unfortunately in intention of people that are in control. They
Mm,
do want people to feel that way. So
mm,
I've trained that way. But it's just one slice of what's going on. So once you get used to it, once you feel like you have the ropes, which is I can get through it no matter what, which is awesome. Then you can go to a much deeper level, which you do, which is like so incredible, and really get to the why and the emotional aspect, where that's coming from. And then alongside that, or maybe additionally, there can be the all right, wait a minute, if this isn't all negative, and this is just one sliver of what's going on, there's some possibility here. This is an electrical charge,
mhm.
and it is a risk. It can go either way.
Yeah, I really what I really love about what you're saying, Laura, is that we the discomfort comes in, and there's so often an automatic assumption of labeling it, or maybe not labeling it, but just like, uh-oh, this feels out, like something says, uh-oh, this is out of control, uh-oh, this feels bad, uh-oh, I got to get away from this or something. So the hanging out with it longer allows for more curiosity and openness. And so then I'm just going to kind of repeat what you said, but maybe in slightly different language. So then there's like you and I have started experimenting with, which we're being classically trained, and then we're like hanging out in some improvisation, and then like, trying to find our play around with known quantities and the unknown. And so in some of that unknown area, it's like, yeah, we don't know what's happening, and we're listening to each other, and feelings come up, but you got to hang out in that discomfort longer to figure out what's going to happen before you get back to the known. And so if we're so used to, well, I would say, if a person has an anxious state inside of them, like for me, I didn't know that I was a chronically anxious person until I had the eruption of performance anxiety. I didn't know that was the daily life I was living in. So then when it shows up on stage, it feels so big and so unmanageable. So it's just like, um, before you can get in the hangout arena, you got to address some of the chronic anxiety that's been there already. So because it's not, like the hangout arena is, I'm excited to keep exploring that with you, and I like how you're talking about it. But I think, if you're living with anxiety all the time, like that is hard on the nervous system. It's hard on it's hard to get proper rest and rejuvenation and stuff. So, anyways, my brain's kind of going in a million different directions as we're talking about it, which is probably fine. There's like a lot of unknown as we're talking about it.
Absolutely. And I agree with you too. If it's kind of in life all the time, then there's another element in
Mm-hmm.
performance.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
sorry, were you going to say more about that?
I was, but I took a long pause and I made it weird.
That's okay. That's okay. Go for it. You can have a long pause.
I feel that one of the biggest and most important, at least for me, or for students, is changing what performance means.
Mm,
Actually, not changing, but knowing what it really means. So, in general, I feel there's an error here, which is that you're supposed to reproduce something that is dead. And you're supposed to reproduce something that is dead perfectly, and you're supposed to live in a dead space.
yeah.
And that is pervasive in society.
Mm,
Whether they call it aging, but actually, no, it's actually being alive. But they
mm,
want people to feel dead.
mm,
So, you know, you must memorize things exactly as they've been written. Because it's dead. It can come alive. It comes alive through the human being. Comes re-alive. So we are sort of, this might sound extreme, but we're sort of indoctrinated to reproduce a dead thing, as opposed to what I feel is the truth, which is bringing a lot, re-aliving something that
mm,
has value.
mm.
that's not actually dead. It's performing it in a precise way that makes it dead and makes everyone feel dead. And so when the conversation, or at least to me, when the conversation changes to performing is actually, the word performing, to perform, I don't think is what we think it means. Because performance concentrates energy
Yes.
into a new set of circumstances, into a new environment. That means new things happen.
Yes.
You can try to perform the dead as much as you want, but it's going to be rough.
Yes.
But I feel the truth is that you're bringing more things alive, and you're actually collaborating. So you're collaborating. If you're performing a classical piece that's already been written, and you're adhering to certain rules, which you can choose to adhere to or not. But if you're going to do things that are on the page, and you're going to follow the roadmap, because the music is just a roadmap, the one that's written. If you are choosing to do more of the roadmap as written, you are still collaborating with that composer. You are collaborating with the lyricist. You are collaborating with the arranger. You're not a robot. They want us all to think that robots are better because they can do things perfectly, but I don't think so.
Agreed. Yeah. I feel that, and now while you're talking, what I'm feeling into is for some people. For some people, it probably feels like relief, like you just do what's written, you just do what's on the roadmap, and like, great, I don't have to something or other. But for other people, that could be its own source of anxiety, of like so constraining, of like the levels of precision, preciseness needed to adhere to and conform to something that's written. That is anxiety producing for other people. And for me, that is for sure true. And one of the most liberating things for me has been, as we've talked, you've encouraged me in this direction of like, it's all suggestions, and actually, like, the more I go in that direction, the more fun the music feels, of like, yeah, I'm taking this as a suggestion, and then like something else is going to come through at the same time. And, it'll be interesting if we try that. We haven't, um, like, what will that be like applying that to 4A? I don't know. But certainly in church music and things like that, it's so great to take it as a suggestion and then amplify, modify, adjust as the energy is. It's so freeing to do it that way.
You said at the end of a foray, go ahead and improvise here, sing here.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It was a great idea.
Yeah.
So we did.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. And then you played beautifully. You improvised like kind of a foray style thing, and I sang over it. And
Yeah.
but even the choice of how much you would like to adhere to certain rules, you have the choice. You can choose how
Yeah.
much you want to.
Yeah.
And sometimes rules are liberating.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we can choose which ones. It's hard, I think, when you're getting paid for a job and they're telling you
Right.
have to do it a certain way. I think that's when
Right.
it can get extra difficult.
Yeah. Yes.
But even if someone's paying for you to do it exactly a certain way, even they don't want it to be exactly, because then they don't feel anything. Then they can just put the CD on.
Right.
Love the CD. Nothing wrong with that. But it can't ever be exactly like that, because you're a living person. And everyone listening, if it's live, is living. So if you want to take water from 200 years ago, it's not going to look exactly the same, even though the oceans are still there. It's just not possible.
Yeah, and I want to keep playing with this idea. I know, like, in some music, sometimes when I remember to pray in advance of connect me to the essence of this music and the aliveness of this music, sometimes it can be easier. It can go both ways. Sometimes it's easier to stay within the the confines as written, because it's like, okay, I'm connecting to an essence rather than dead notes on a page, or like a facsimile, or a something. But it also can, then it can sometimes feel like a collaboration with a composer who actually doesn't want you to feel constrained. And we will never know concretely, does this particular composer want you to play with what they've written? Did they give approval of that when they were alive? Do they have a different opinion now that they're dead and they're a spirit in the, great, so anyways, those are things I think about with relating to the notes on the page.
Absolutely. And I love notes on the page. I love forward. I love doing that with you. It's gorgeous. Like, and sometimes a conductor is like, I want to diminuendo here. You need to diminuendo here, and you got to slow down here. And
Right,
that could be like, oh, what if I don't have enough breath for that? What if it's
right.
not so? Da, 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 da. And so then the self worthiness comes in, like worthiness.
Yeah, because yeah, figuring out the constraints of collab, like that's another level of, so there's like the stuff on the page, and then there is, if you are hired by a place to do it, and I did that last December. I was hired by a group, and I hadn't been in that energy in a long time. And the perfectionism energy, I was like, oh my God. And the people I was working with were lovely. They were amazing. There's very creative people. But I felt that energy field, that it's beyond those people. It was the tradition that has gone with it. There's like a morphic field that can go with that. So there can be the interaction with the conductor or your collaborators or the stage director who says you have to do it a certain way, and that's one level. But then there's this whole other morphic field that goes beyond that, that's like many hundreds years of training and belief and tradition, that can be that, whether or not the person you're dealing with tells you to do something or not, you may feel those constraints just from the energy field. So I think when we address the morphic field, which I think both you and I are playing with that and making headway in various ways. But when we address the morphic field, there may end up being more room for collaboration, even with a crabby stage director or a crabby conductor or something like that. That they don't have to know. You don't necessarily have to have a conversation with them to say, like, no, I hate it that way. Like you can do so much on your side, um, to yeah, like address the many layers that go beyond just the what we think of as the words or directions.
Absolutely. I think you said that so well too. You don't necessarily have to talk about the instruction or the request to do it a certain way. You can still bring your own within any constraint, any constraint.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, any constraint, any restraint. I wouldn't call it like, the mind kind of goes to like an imprisonment of a kind, but I wouldn't call it that. But any kind of, it can become that. I mean, any one of us can take any restraint or constraint in society at any time and make it a prison. And certain constraints or restraints are intended to be that way. We always, fortunately, if we're able and we get to talk to each other and we get to read about things and learn about things, we can always choose how much of that we take on or not. But having the choice, even having the awareness that we can do that, because the narrative of if you don't get it, you'll get fired is so strong, and we've all seen
Right.
it. I mean, I've seen it happen.
Right.
Um, but I think it's choosing the aliveness. I think it's choosing life over and over again. That's cool. Or
Well,
creation.
you and I have come at this from different ways, and I think you've done such an amazing job of finding your way in freedom, no matter what the circumstances are. And so, like, whether you're teaching or in a school or dealing with organizations, like, you have found your own way to stay feeling your own self liberation, no matter what. And then I've come at it from a different way, which is like doing prayers and commands to identify what are, like, there are, um, it can feel like imprisonment and walls. And for some people, it is like an energy structure of prison or binds or straitjackets or collars or tethers. And so then I come at it from the angle of, well, let's find out, what is it on you? What is the thing that is impacting you? And then we do prayers and commands to release those. And both, like, there's no one right, again, there's no, like, there's not a right way here. That's like part of the goal, is for all of us to find that the easiest way to being ourselves in making music or in artistic creation.
Absolutely. And hello? Can you see me? I can see you.
Yes, something just popped up on my screen.
Okay. I can see you. Yes, they.
I think I'm going to stop the recording. Do you want to say more?
Oh, just that there's these different perspectives that you're talking about are so important. And I think prayers and commands work better. I kind of develop these kind of mantra like things, which are very similar. But prayers and commands work better because they're more specific. And they're more
Mm.
I think they work better, yeah. And like you said, figuring out what exactly is there and addressing that specifically is so important.
But I think, like, the way you do it, Laura, the way I see you do it, is that you've had such a strong, like, inner flame towards being yourself and trusting yourself. And yeah, like, it's not perfect. And you're finding new edges of being more of yourself. But I think a person can do that. Like, we are offering help in various ways to people to work on this, but a person can take that strong inner desire for more freedom, and that really can be such a tremendous guidepost and can accomplish a lot. And I also think that if people are having a sincere request that is for their highest good, the help will meet them.
You're
Help will
so
come.
right. Yes. Yes. And it's so something else I love to talk about and think about on that when you'll get help is that you're actually never alone.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That it can feel if there's the big anxiety or like maybe debilitating or
Yeah.
there's this thing where you think you're alone. So finding those moments when you're not, whether it's the composers, all the people if you're performing a work that's been done a lot, all the people that have done it before you,
Yeah.
whoever you choose to engage.
And asking for the highest element of that. Sorry to jump in there.
No, I think that's the most important part of that.
Well,
Is
no,
asking for the most helpful part.
right. Yeah. But you're right. There's this morphic field. There's an energy print that is continuously being carved for a piece of music, even if it was written 400 years ago. There's many prints that have formed together with it. And so you can, connect. You could ask to connect to the spirit of Bach and help you in your performance of whatever. And you can ask for your highest aspect of your own self to help you in the perform. So anyways, that's my new latest prayer, is that any time I'm asking for help, it's the highest element of this person being element whatever.
Absolutely. I love doing that with with composers. I had a student, she just never performed solo really. She's extraordinary, but she thought she was going up there by herself. And physically, with your eyes and your ears, it feels like that because you're getting on a stage by yourself. Maybe by yourself, maybe with another person.
Right.
Maybe you're working with somebody. Maybe you're playing, maybe you're singing, maybe whatever it is, but it feels like you're by yourself. And there is that whole like and then there's that weird thing people do, like you just have to have confidence.
Yeah.
You just have to believe in yourself. And I'm always like, I don't recommend that. I don't recommend confidence, and I don't recommend believing in yourself. Terrible.
Which is funny, but if I may interpret that a little, you
Yes,
tell
of
me if
course.
this is right. That
Yes, of course.
What you're not recommending is the puffed up version, right? You're not recommending fake it till you make it. You're recommending like something else.
Yeah, like I'm saying that you don't really need to, you don't really, honestly, it's like you don't need to feel any particular way.
Okay. Yeah.
You don't need to feel confident. You don't need to feel happy. You don't need to feel strong. I mean, if it's helpful, you can. If it's helpful and someone's like, I love to, I just say to myself, I feel strong. And I do, that's great. If that helps you, it's great.
Right. Right.
That's fabulous. But sometimes it can be a requirement like, oh no, I don't feel confident in myself. And I'm like, that's okay.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't need to forget
Yeah.
that. Feel terrible. It's all right. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay. You're alive, I promise.
Yeah. 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 And like this whole realm, I think is very, very, very interesting for the things I'm interested in because I do think like if there is a puffing up or a trying to be confident that can often sabotage or shoot a person in the foot because it becomes like a part of the person or it's like a protective part or a manager part that's doing that like I'm confident, I'm strong. But if it comes from a really deep place inside the person that it's actually tapping into a truth that you know and feel, then that can be helpful to be like, I'm remembering the truth of who I am. I'm feeling the truth of who I am. That truth is in there. And also, sometimes, like I've seen this many times in my house when we have like repertoire rallies and people are like I just don't want to perform right now and it's like okay we are welcoming that and in that as soon as you welcome that it starts to change. It's like yeah, come up here in the space and be floppy and sing or perform or what perform share something from that place of like I don't want to be here and it will change. It will change.
It will change. And you can even say, I don't need it to change, and it'll still change because everything's always
Yeah.
changing.
Yeah.
Even if you're like, I got it. I mean,
I
I've done
know.
that. Yes, sir, sure. Well, forget that. But it will change no matter what. And you always, and if you feel okay, one person, a person feels okay being with whatever is there, the music will play you.
Mm,
I feel the music will play and it will teach you all sorts of things
mm,
and the audience, and they become
mm.
part of the performance. But like you learn, like in real time, the music like teaches you stuff. I think that's awesome
It's so true.
because it changes the air.
Yeah, it does. And it's like, so I think kind of like a summary is there's no right way. Don't push anything away. Everything's changing. And actually there's a lot conspiring to help. Like not dead notes on the page, but there's some energy in the music that is conspiring to help. Dead composer, maybe not, but there's some high, evolved aspect of that composer who is available to help. There's some, I know one of the things was a revelation for me was figuring out when I'm anxious on stage. Sometimes I'm feeling the other people on stage, sometimes I'm feeling the audience. So like being clear, I'm not connecting with that anxious stuff. I'm connecting with the high element of what's going on and amplifying but like again, it's not if there's a pushing or it's like some of this is like it's so easy and some of it is like oh this is a tricky dance. It's like oh today I'm pushing, oh nope, today it's like oh like you said there I got it. Yeah.
Yes, and what you said about walking in and what something I talk about a lot and that I enjoy a lot is sometimes it's hard to hang out with the people.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's awesome, like
Yeah.
playing with you, gorgeousness. I fell down. You're playing so gorgeous. I think even if you just like I don't know. I don't think it's just so gorgeous, but I think if you just fell over, it's like, I'm not playing, I'd be like, oh my God, you sound incredible. Like, but in all seriousness, it is incredibly gorgeous. Incredible. It's so beautiful. But sometimes with some people that you're working with, it's like, whoa, whoa, because someone is freaking out. And I
Yeah.
don't blame them. I've been there. I understand. No problem. But you're like, oh my gosh, no, whoa, whoa. Or maybe someone in the front row
Yeah.
is blowing their nose and has had a bad day and
Yeah.
looking at you going like this. You don't sing that high note how I like it. I'm gonna come backstage and punch you in the face. They don't really, but it looks like that, you know?
Yeah.
And you're like,
Totally.
okay. And so what I tell people and what I do myself too is like, if the people are not there with you yet, and it's okay because they have lives and it's hard. It's hard. The air in the room, the ether is always more flexible.
Mm,
Almost always more flexible. And almost always immediately responsive to intention.
mm,
So you can let the light in through that air. And sometimes if it's humid that day, it feels heavier and the sound waves go slower and all sorts of stuff. Sound can be different. But the air and letting you just invite that light in, and that's kind of about the higher. It's a little bit, it kind of goes along with what you were saying about inviting the highest form of what.
yes.
Because if you believe in other, if you believe in other, or if you believe in reincarnations, you believe in the other side, there are lots of things that people come to listen. It's not just the people there.
Right.
There's lots of things coming to listen. And so
Wow.
sometimes the people are, I love people. I love people. I love humanity so much. And there are families and works and tragedies and desperations. And
Mm,
sometimes it's just not something you can just engage with right away in the beginning of a collaborative performance or something. Sometimes there are just so many other things hanging out. I just wanted to throw that out there.
yeah, I've never really thought about that. I mean, I think in the last couple of years, I've thought about like the energy of music and connecting to the energy of music, and then like, you know, the energies of the composers or the morphic fields. But I've never thought about the fact that there may be lots of different beings or spirits or elements or energies that are coming to participate, and that many of them could be available to help.
Yeah, and they want to enjoy it too. They want to enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I told a student once for an audition, she was really concerned. I was like, just so you know, in auditions, everyone wants everyone to do well typically. I mean, there are those who are real, but everyone wants everyone to do well, but they are tired. They've been having a
Mm,
form, they have a pen and a paper. They're like, so, and I told her, so when you go in there, you don't, if you can, you want to not look for validation from the people
right.
with the paper that you're doing the audition for, because they won't be able to give it to you.
Right.
And they'll try. Sometimes they're so tired or they've had such a bad day, they'll try to put on a smile, but then they lose it and they drop it, and then you're worried you did something wrong.
Right.
So I say, if you interact with the air, you don't
Mm.
even have to worry about that. That's an audition, which is different from a performance. But sometimes performance is similar when you get that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I think it's very similar because like you said, if somebody is sitting in the front row giving you the stink eye, or your colleague across the stage is doing something weird, you don't know what it is. But our own insecurities are like, uh-oh, they're mad at me, or they're wishing something bad on me, or uh-oh, they didn't like what, like,
Or they look really white. They're going to fall over in a second.
yeah, like what is
They're
going
not going to
on?
sing. Yeah, they're not going to sing the next line. Do I sing the next line?
Yeah.
That's a baritone. um, or that's a bass. Am I going to sing the next line? I could. You know what I mean? That's a different situation, but yes. What am I going to do? What's going to
Yeah.
happen?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why I was saying it. Because yeah, so in auditions with people, yeah, and like we both have, I haven't necessarily been in some of these, but I've heard so many stories about like people getting their sandwich out and starting to eat, or like taking a phone call in the middle of an audition, and writing note, looking mad, and just walking away, like all the different things that can happen in audition.
And performances, things that people yell out. Sometimes
Yeah.
people yell, like even in a classical. I was in classical material. It happens less,
Uh-huh.
but I welcome it if it's positive.
Well, we did one. We did this recently, and somebody started singing. Well, we were inviting collaboration from the audience, and somebody started singing. And it turned out to be great. It turned out to be great, but you don't know. You don't know what is
You don't know.
going on.
I mean, you do have to have some kind of like, obviously, if it had gone on too long or it was inappropriate, obviously we would have said, thank you so much. We've had enough of that at this moment. Or you have security or something like that. Of course, you have to. Of course. But people, they could be really mad, like, I hate that. I don't like that. I prefer you just walk away. but but hey, that's yay, or they'll sing a thing. Yeah, I agree. That's a great example though. Yeah, he started singing.
Yeah. And just saying again, we were inviting collaboration, but it surprised us. We weren't expecting somebody to sing back to us. We were expecting words and talking.
And that's what we got mostly.
Yes.
And it was great. And we changed things on the spot. And I
Yeah.
added words on the spot. And you played
Yeah.
differently on the spot. You
Yeah.
added, like, it was fabulous. And it contributed to, I think, everybody's well being and hopefully the whole world's well being.
Yes. That's our intention.
That's our intention.
Okay. I'm going to
Yeah.
stop this now for real.
Okay. I'm so grateful you decided to do that.
Me too. Let's see.
Let's do it all the time.